Hi everybody, and welcome to day 24 of Raising My Vibration in 2018. So I thought for today's focus, we would take it up to a much lighter note. I know that in the last few days, we've been hitting it pretty hard with some of the hard, dense vibrations that we're trying to remove from our energy field so that we can raise our vibration. And so I thought, what happens if through our journey in raising our vibration, we have moments or we reach moments where we feel like we just kind of need that extra support, or we kind of feel like we're not able to do it on our own, that we actually need to bring somebody into the picture. And so this is a really important thing when it comes to being our own advocates for our health, our mental, spiritual, emotional well-being. We need to be our advocates for it. And so I stress to clients all the time that if you are working on something and you're not seeing any changes, or you're struggling with it, then you need to absolutely go and seek an alternative direction. And so this is especially true, if you're seeking traditional medicine. So if you're, Western medicine for any kind of help, really, it's kind of for most people, it's a tough path to go through. Unfortunately, Western medicine doesn't have a lot of the support in place that we all need. And so they definitely are lacking on that part. So I recommend everybody, if you are seeing a doctor or working with somebody and things are not working for you, or you're not seeing any changes, then absolutely I advise you to go and seek other options. And so for me, I haven't always been in the natural health field. It wasn't until I was pregnant with my third child and I started experiencing some health concerns that I had to seek out alternative health care, because I was having issues with my gallbladder. At the time, I had no idea what a gallbladder was. I had no idea that I was having gallbladder attacks, and I was having attacks so bad that I thought I was dying. I thought I was having heart attacks and dying. And unfortunately, at the time, my family physician wasn't diagnosing me with anything, and she had no idea what was going on. And so I ended up in the emergency room and was actually having a gallbladder attack. And so the emergency doctor ran some tests on me, and came back and said, well, you've got a couple things happening. First of all, you're having a gallbladder attack and your gallbladder needs to come out. And secondly, you are pregnant. And I remember I had no idea that I was pregnant. I was 5 weeks pregnant at the time and had no idea. And both things came to a complete shock to me. And so the doctor, said to myself and my husband, so you guys have, a couple of choices. You need to have your gallbladder taken out, because this is going to keep on happening to you. But if we take the gallbladder out, you're going to lose your baby. And so it's just, you're faced with the no good choices. These didn't sound like good options to us at all. We definitely wanted to keep this baby. We were surprised by it, but we obviously knew that the child was meant to be with us. And although I had never heard of this gallbladder thing before, I was pretty sure I didn't want to have it taken out of my body. So I knew from that point going forward that we needed to look into some alternative options. And so I did do a follow-up with my family doctor, and unfortunately she kind of gave me the same advice. She said to me that, you could do all kinds of natural things, but you will always at some point you will have to have your gallbladder out. And so I actually sought out a naturopathic doctor, and I'd never seen a naturopath before, heard of a naturopath before. And I went and met this naturopathic doctor, and she, told me that I had all kinds of options, talked about what was going on in my body to cause the gallbladder, first of all, teaching me what the gallbladder was and the purpose of it, and explaining all of that, and everything had made sense. So all of the physical stuff that I had been experiencing up to that point made total sense when she looked at it through a different perspective. And so it was through working with a naturopath and then working on healing my body that I was able to bring my body back into balance and heal myself. And, for me, that kind of led me into this whole new world of alternative medicine or complementary medicine. And it was a lifesaver for me. And I know it's a lifesaver for many people. And so I strongly recommend anybody who is not getting where you want to be with your health to definitely seek alternative therapies or complementary medicine. Also, and I'm not saying that every complementary medicine practitioner that you see or therapist that you see is going to be amazing. Same thing, if you go and you find somebody and they're not making differences for you, then absolutely go on to the next person. Keep on looking, keep on searching. So I wanted to talk about how these medicines can absolutely help us to raise our vibration. So most people will seek out these therapies because they are experiencing stuff on a physical level, right? So for me, it was gallbladder. And once I now understand the whole emotional levels of having problems with your liver and your gallbladder, which is suppressed anger, I now know what needs to be worked on and how to fix things. But if somebody hadn't ever led me on the path, I would have just had an operation and had the organ removed and probably would have continued on with physical things showing up in my body because I wasn't addressing the root problem. And so one of the modalities I want to talk about, and of course I'm biased to it because I'm a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner or a registered acupuncturist, is traditional Chinese medicine. So traditional Chinese medicine to me it was my first real look into alternative therapies. So I used acupuncture through my last pregnancy to help turn the baby, to help me with being nauseous, for numerous things. And it's the first medicine I have ever experienced that I had such amazing immediate results from, that I was so intrigued that I started reading all kinds of books about acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. And it actually got to the point where when I would go to see my naturopath for an appointment, I would be bringing books to her to show her what I was learning about, and I was teaching her because these were new things that she hadn't learned before. And so, through her encouragement, I did look into going to school and did my training through acupuncture and TCM. And so TCM is really kind of cool because it's a medicine that looks at every aspect. So, I can have somebody come in and it's a physical complaint. We can deal with the physical stuff. So acupuncture is amazing for reducing pain and inflammation. But there's also a whole teaching with TCM that goes in and talks about how every single organ in the body has an emotion. We call it their disease factor, how every organ in the body is affected by certain foods, certain temperatures, how there's a life force in the body which is called qi, and the qi and the blood are partners and they travel through the body. And it's when we get sick or hurt or, we have some kind of trauma that it stops the qi and the blood from flowing. And so and I'm giving you the Reader's Digest of traditional Chinese medicine, obviously, but the whole idea is about bringing the body back into balance. And so in Chinese medicine, everything is either in an excess or a deficiency. And so through one of the tools, such as acupuncture, we can actually redirect the qi and the blood in the body so that if we have a deficiency, then we can bring it there. And if we have an excess, then we can take it out. Which, how cool is that, right? Doesn't that sound very, very cool? And so acupuncture and TCM are a great choice for when you're working on bringing your body back into balance. We can, and when we're talking about raising our vibration, if I can work with clients who suffer from anxiety or depression, just using the tools of traditional Chinese medicine, it's quite amazing. Keep in mind, traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture that's used in the scope that I do, for instance, is much different than what you would experience through your chiropractor or your physiotherapist, because they are not TCM practitioners. They are, they're practiced in their modality. And so when they actually learn acupuncture, they only are learning a small portion, which is the needling portion, or they would call it dry needling. I think technically they're not allowed to even call it acupuncture. They need to call it dry needling. But keep that in mind. So when you're thinking about the idea of using acupuncture as one of your alternative therapies, seek out somebody who is practiced in traditional Chinese medicine, so that you will actually experience the broader scope of how it works, and have, you know, the practitioner that you're working with will look at your whole picture. TCM teaches us to find the root of the problem. So going in all the way back and finding the beginning of the problem or where it started. So you know, anybody that is looking for that little bit of added, that's an amazing direction to go into. And so then what about other energy medicine? So, you know, we hear lots about Reiki, right? Reiki is all over the place. And so, Reiki is it's a healing energy. I think, you know, it's laying on of hands and tuning into a healing frequency or healing vibration has been around since the beginning of time. You know, that's what Jesus did. Jesus did the laying on of hands and was able to heal people like that. And I know that they've given Reiki the name Reiki, but it's energy healing. And so what it is that, you know, the practitioner is tuning into a healing frequency and becoming a channel for that frequency. So Reiki is kind of cool because, again, it can heal things on multiple levels. So when a practitioner is working with, you know, the Reiki frequency, they don't have to specifically be working on something. They can just be working on bringing in healing energy into the body, and then knowing that however that person is supposed to be healed, the healing will happen. Reiki, the experience for everybody is different with Reiki. It depends too, again, on the person that you're receiving Reiki from. This is a big thing, guys. So remember, if we are working on raising our vibration and we are going to seek alternative therapies to help us in this journey, make sure that you do some investigating as to who the person is that you're going to be seeing. Make sure that they're a good fit for you vibrationally. And this is where we, you know, want to use our intuition. So if you have a conversation with the practitioner before, or, you know, check them out on their website, or if there's any, you know, if they have any materials out there, then look into it. Just because, you know, again, it's an energy exchange. And so, you know, and I can remember early on when I got into this whole world of doing this, I was very selective of who I let work on me, just because I'm so sensitive to energies, and I needed to feel that it was a good fit. So whoever was working on me, I needed to feel that their vibration was a good fit for me. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that that's really, really important. Because sometimes if I hear somebody having a bad experience, like, you know, and Reiki can be one of them, I often wonder if it's because of the person that they were working with, if maybe they were somebody who necessarily shouldn't have been working on somebody if they weren't well enough to, or if they weren't at a stage in their own development that they should be working on somebody. So another energy healing modality that you guys can look into is called reconnective healing. And so reconnective healing, I'm a reconnective healing practitioner. And so all that means is that it's another healing frequency. So reconnective healing was inspired or created by Dr. Eric Pearl. And so Dr. Eric Pearl is a chiropractor, and he has a really interesting book. If you look up Eric Pearl and read his first book, it talks about how when he started off as a chiropractor, he was having some strange experiences with some of his clients. And all of a sudden these healings started happening. And anyways, and then the story goes on to be that then he was shown, or he was given this frequency, and they call it the reconnective frequency. And so I had the privilege of actually taking my training directly from Dr. Eric Pearl in Toronto. And was a whole weekend thing that you go and you know, first of all, learn the frequencies, feel the frequencies, play with the frequencies. And again, what it is it's, you know, it's interesting because it's very similar to mediumship. So when you do mediumship, you actually are tuning into a higher frequency. And the frequency that I tune into with mediumship is the spirit realm, right? That's the frequency that I tune into. When I tune into reconnective healing, it's the reconnective healing frequency. And so again, it's very similar to Reiki, except for, there's not as much laying on of the hands. There's more just moving energy around the body with your hands. And the neat thing that I found really neat with the reconnective healing was they have what's called registers that happen. So when somebody's laying on the table and you start to work on them and you tap into the reconnective frequency, the person that's laying on the table will actually have what they call a register. And so a register is can be the eyes twitching, like flicking, or it can be like legs and arms jerking, kind of like there's electricity going through them. And I thought this was really neat. So when we were at the workshop in Toronto, they had us we did a lot of hands-on. So they had us do a lot of pairing off into pairs and then working on each other with it. And I remember the first person that laid down on the table, and this was after we felt the frequency, and I started to do the reconnective healing on them, and their eyes started flittering and their legs started jumping all over. And I remember thinking, wow, this is really cool. I'm tapping into this energy that I can't see or hear, or, I can vibrationally feel it, but it's not palpable. And I thought, and look at the effect that it's having on this body. So it's very, very cool. And, I know, a couple of really good reconnective healing practitioners who I've used that healing frequency on my own personal healing. And I couldn't exactly explain to you what happens when I go on the table and what gets worked on, but I know that I always feel better when I leave. And so I trust that on maybe on a higher dimension of my understanding, there's something that happens when we tune into these frequencies and the healing starts to happen in our body. So check that out. And I know there's lots of reconnective healers around. If you go on and you Google, find somebody in your area. Reconnective healing and Reiki as well can be done via distance as well. So you don't have to necessarily have the people living where you are. And I know for some people that's a hard one for them to understand, and they like to be in person, but you do have that option, because it's just like when I do mediumship, there's no time or space involved at all. I don't have to be in the same room to do a reading for somebody. They can be halfway across the world, and I can just tune into their energy and tune into their loved one's energy and spirit. It's the same thing if we do reconnective healing or Reiki. We're just tuning into a frequency, and time and space just disappears when we do that. So look into those, because those are two really great, and reconnective healing and Reiki are really affordable modalities for most part. And so it's another thing that we can do. So there's, what's the first go-to that lots of people go to when they're not feeling well? It's massage. And so massage is great in a lot of ways, because first of all, it's human touch. And, we, as humans, human touch can, fill us with love, and it increases your circulation, which moves your blood, which raises your vibration. Having good circulation raises your vibration. And it reduces stress. So I think probably the number one helpful effect in raising your vibration with massage is that it reduces your stress, helps you to feel relaxed. Even if it's just for that hour that you're with the person doing it, it absolutely will make you feel relaxed. And especially if you go and see somebody who, incorporates essential oils into their practice and maybe does some specific oil blends for you that will help you, whatever it is that you're working on, your particular thing that you're working on, they can add that into your massage. Again, another easy modality that you can find through lots of people everywhere. So I want you guys to let me know of some of your, some things, alternative therapies that you've tried, that you have found that really worked. I know there's tons of them out there, right? Like there's bars, there's chakra balancing, there's tons and tons and tons of them. So, if share in the comments and let us know what are some of the things that you find particularly helpful along your journey, something that you've used. And if there's somebody that you think that we should know about, then definitely let us know about. You can check out the Being in Balance website. Lots of the modalities that I just talked about are on there. And we offer all of those services through my office as well. So I want everybody just to remember that the whole key to all of this is that we want to make sure and know that we never are out of resources, that we always have, there's always options available to us. And so at any time when we kind of feel stuck or stagnant in our journey, in our healing journey, I want us to know that it doesn't mean that now it's time for us to stick our heads in the sand or give up. It's time for us to start turning over some more rocks and looking through for some more options. Okay, awesome. And so I'm going to attach to today's video a meditation, because again, we need to, meditation is free for those of us who need more free options. Meditation is probably one of the most powerful healing, therapies that we can practice. We don't need any special equipment to do it. Once we have, we have the steps in place and we know what our purpose is when we're doing it, then we can do it by ourselves, any place, anywhere. So I'm going to leave a link of a really good meditation that will be good for us all. Okay. So everybody just join me for a moment right now. I just want you to close your eyes. And I just want you to bring your awareness of your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body through your breath. So this may be for some of us the only time that we've checked in with ourselves today. So I just want you to close your eyes. And so you're taking 3 slow, deep breaths in through your nose and then just letting it out through your mouth. With your out breath, your exhale, you're releasing everything that no longer serves you, any dense, hard, low vibrations. And just stay in here with me for a moment while I call in my guides and my angels. And as we tune into the energy of the group, we are sending out huge waves of love and strength and support to everybody. Awesome. You guys have the most amazing day ever, and I will talk to you tomorrow.